Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today for our part 3 of a 3-part series of webinars around innovation. Today, we have Jeremiah Dillon with us, who will be sharing with you some of the Google Apps management capabilities. So stay tuned. I'll pass over the reins to him in just a few seconds here. But also, please keep in mind that you're able to ask us any questions that you like in the Q&A panel, and we'll make sure to leave about 15 minutes or so at the end of the webinar to get to your questions. So ask away. And thank you again. And now over to Jeremiah.
Thanks, Anya. For those of you who came to the previous sessions, you may know that it was Jeremy Milo who gave those presentations. I look after Google Apps product marketing with him, and I'm standing in for him today. And I'll be talking about the management capabilities in Google Apps. So a quick overview of the agenda today. We've divided the different pieces I'm going to talk about into 4 different buckets. I'll take about 30 or 40 minutes to go through these, and then please, as you hear anything you're more curious about, please ask a question, and we'll try to leave some time and get to those at the end. The first thing I'll talk about is how Google Apps is really designed for teams, and what this means is there are tons of great capabilities that you can deploy as an administrator with just a couple clicks to really let employees and coworkers work together a lot more effectively using the power of the cloud. The next piece is really about productivity anywhere, and what this means is sort of the ability to easily and securely deploy and manage lots of different mobility solutions across tons of different platforms, mobile, laptops, etc. Next piece is around simplicity and affordability. We'll talk about how easy it is to roll out Google Apps and how truly affordable it is for the great capabilities you get. And the final piece is the pure and proven cloud. We'll talk a bit about Google's cloud heritage and some of the great sort of reliability that our cloud offers to you with our Google Apps. And I'll close up with a bit on how to stay up to date and get future updates about apps. On each of these slides, which we'll be trying to share with you afterwards, you'll see a short link at the bottom, which will take you to more information, either a blog post or some other set of resources about that specific topic. So if you are interested, you can write down that short link. It should just be a couple characters long. Or again, we'll be sharing this deck out, and so you should be able to use that as a reference and go back and click through to get more detailed information about each of these topics I reference. So first, a quick talk about innovation and sort of why it's necessary to have these type of updates. So some of you may have seen a graphic like this before, but essentially Google Apps runs on sort of an agile development cycle, which means as soon as we have a feature that is conceived, tested, and ready to go, we push it out to our users. This is great because as soon as things are ready, users are using the latest technology, the latest updates. What this means for marketers like me, however, is there are very few sort of big bang launches where we get to say, this is the new version, here are the 50 new things that we've included, and get a lot of people's attention and really tell the story about what's new, what's great, what's changed. And so this is a great opportunity to sit down and talk about some of the new things that have sort of slowly rolled their way into the product over the past year that you may or may not have noticed that really make the entire package a lot more compelling, and particularly for today, from the administrator's management standpoint. And again, for those of you sort of not familiar with the core Google Apps, here's a listing on the screen. It starts with Gmail, which was the first one we brought as kind of Gmail for your domain originally. Over time, we've been adding a ton of core apps, things like collaboration apps, docs and sites, calendar, real-time and talk, et cetera, to really make the package a lot more compelling for productivity, communication, and collaboration. And you can always find more information about those core apps at google.com/apps. So the first piece that I'm going to talk about is how Google Apps is designed for teams. And what this really means for the administrator from a management perspective is that it's really easy in almost every case that I'm going to list here in just a matter of clicks to deploy a really powerful set of capabilities for teamwork without the need for any additional infrastructure, without the need for sort of thick clients, lots of installers, lots of maintenance. You make a decision for which of these features is right for your organization, and in a couple of clicks, they're out there and your colleagues are using them. So the first piece that I'm going to talk about is Google Sites. And I can remember before I was at Google in a previous job or two, wanting to get a page up on the company intranet. And this was a huge hassle for me because I had to go to IT, and I can only imagine it was a huge hassle for the IT managers I worked with to build that page, to maintain it, to update it every time I wanted to change. With Google Sites, as the administrators are able to flip a switch, turn this on, and let the end user create, whether it's heavyweight intranet sites or lightweight project team sites that they create one day, use for a month, and then sort of archive. The end user can create that, and not only do they have the ability to create it, but they don't need to know any sort of specialized programming or markup language. It's very simple, very intuitive. It's a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get interface. We know this is one of the most popular features that our customers use. Some are building really rich intranets. Others, as I said, just using it for project team sites. But from an administrator's perspective, a couple clicks, you can let users do this. You can control whether they are creating only internal project team sites, sharing with people inside your organization, or whether they're able to turn those out into the wild and share them with customers, partners, vendors. The next piece, along a similar thread, is user-managed groups. So what this capability lets you do is allow users to create their own work groups and mailing lists. And once you've turned it on, there is no sort of management or administrator involvement necessary for a group of colleagues to create a mailing list, to manage that list, add people, drop people off, and sort of manage the distribution of emails. And then that ties nicely into other things like sites and documents. You can use these user-managed groups to sort of share a document with an entire group or share a site with an entire group. And again, a couple clicks in the administrator control panel, this is turned on, and then it's up to the end users to kind of coalesce into these groups as they will. Next piece is the ability to share templates. So there's a built-in set of sort of generic templates for Google Docs and Google Sites, but there's also the ability to create and maintain private template galleries for sites, spreadsheets, presentations, and docs. Users within your organization who create great templates. This slide template that I'm presenting today, for example, was created by someone else. They came up with the nice colorful transition slides in Google Colors. They put that up into the template gallery, and then I, as a user, can discover, download, and use that to create my own presentation. And so this is really great. It doesn't require any additional file servers or repositories, and end users can create and deploy these templates to others. Because Google Sites and Docs run using nothing but the web, these are always accessible. Anytime someone is creating a document, creating a site, it's really easy to go to the template gallery, choose one that they like, and get started with their work. Next is forms and surveys. This is a great extension of the Google Spreadsheets product. What this does is let any user who has the Google Apps account create very simple and intuitive forms and surveys. Again, like most Google products, this is what you see is what you get. You can add questions, choose question types from multiple choice, checkboxes, choose from a list, etc. And then once these forms are created, they can be sent out as links in emails. They can be embedded in either web pages or sites. They can be exposed both inside the company, outside. And all the data that's collected drops right into a Google spreadsheet, so it's easy to analyze and share with colleagues. We get great feedback on this as a very simple, straightforward way to enable everyone in an organization to start collecting information, structured information from colleagues, from customers, from whoever, without the need for sort of an additional account, additional logins, and then sort of the requirement to bring that data into a Google spreadsheet if they want to share it. Everything is kind of vertically integrated here, from the creation of the form to the deployment, the collection, and then the analysis and sharing of the data afterwards. Next is the ability that we've slowly enhanced over time to upload and share files from your Google Docs list. So many people think of Google Docs list as where you find the Google Docs, the Google Spreadsheets, the Google presentations that you've created. You've, for a long time, been able to upload things like PDF files. And more recently, we've given you the ability to put any arbitrary file up into this space. And what this means is your Google Docs list has become a great place to not only back up files, but also to share files. Because anything that you put in there, you can share using the same sharing model that you used to with Google Docs, which is click on the dialog, select a group, select a set of users. Those could be inside the company or, if allowed by the administrator, outside the company. And it's a really easy way to, without the need for any file sharing infrastructure, any standalone servers, to back up, store, and share your files. The next piece is the ability to call phones from Gmail. Those of you who use Gmail a lot will probably have noticed that in the chat roster, usually shows up on the left side, it shows some of your frequent contacts. There is an item that was added in the past year that says call phone. When you click on that, that leverages technology based on Google Voice to actually let you dial a phone number right from inside Gmail and make a call to U.S. or international numbers. I actually personally don't even have a phone on my desk. I have a cell phone that I carry with me, but if I need to make a call from my desk, I just throw a headset on and dial straight in Gmail, dial out that number. It's a great way to add sort of a secondary sort of set of telephony capabilities without adding a lot of new telecom equipment. No need for additional phones, additional contracts, all inside Gmail. There's great international calling rates if that's the requirement that you have. And it's a great sort of backup system for your users who need to make calls. Along that same thread, in addition to calling phones, Gmail has built right into it tons of great real-time communication capabilities. And this starts with, in that chat roster on the left, presence. So you'll see the set of contacts that you frequently interact with or that you've added to your chat list. You'll get a little green indicator next to it that says they're available, or a red one that says they're not. You have the ability to kick off right from there a quick text chat, elevate that into a voice or video chat. All of this is inside Gmail without the need to deploy any additional servers inside the company. There's no thick clients required. There's a single, very easy to install plugin that's needed to get the voice and video piece. But again, it's a pretty powerful real-time communication solution built right into the email client that people spend most of their day in that doesn't require any additional heavy lifting on the side of the IT administration to deploy. Next piece I'll talk about is translation in docs, spreadsheets, and sites. And this is another great example of how Google Apps leverages the power of the cloud to bring a whole set of capabilities that would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to have in a sort of on-premise or shrink-wrap solution, and bring that right into the apps that you know and love, like Gmail, like real-time chat, like sites and docs. So what this does is leverage Google's Google Translate product. For example, if you receive an email that's not in your native language, Google will detect that, and there'll be a little promo that shows up at the top of the email and says, would you like to translate this into English or whatever your native language may happen to be? Same thing for chat. You can add a chat agent that will, in real time, take text chats in one language, switch them to another. Also with docs and sites, very easy to take a site or doc in one language and flip it into another. This may not be something that all of you need. A small business, a bicycle shop with a couple locations, collaborating with spreadsheets, using Gmail for communication may not need it. But the day that they get that communication or that document in another language, this capability is there waiting for them without any additional work or deployment. Next is Cloud Connect for Microsoft Office. I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with the really awesome real-time collaboration that we see in Google Docs and we can do this because it's a cloud app. What we've done in the past year is bring some of this capability to your Microsoft Office documents. So there's a small plugin called Google Cloud Connect for Microsoft Office. And when you install that, it installs on Office 2003, 2007, and 2010, and works with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And what it does is sync those Microsoft Office documents up into your Google Docs list. So you've always got the most recent version. It's very easy to share using the same sharing model as other Google Docs. And what this plugin actually allows is if you and your colleagues all have the plugin installed, you can actually simultaneously edit one of these documents, a Word, Excel, or PowerPoint document, and it's going to sync the changes that you make down to all of your colleagues' machines, so they're always using the most up-to-date version and can actually have it open at the same time, and you can change one PowerPoint slide while a colleague is changing another, and that will all be in sync, and those changes will be saved. This is, because it integrates with Microsoft Office, this one does require a plugin. We have both a sort of end-user self-install option as well as a enterprise MSI installer that you can use in your existing sort of advertising and deployment solution for software. Next piece is around user policy management. And really this just focuses on the ability of the administrator to control the set of capabilities that each user has. And since everything is done from the cloud, it's very easy to make changes there and have those sort of instantly propagate out to the organization. So what you see on the screen here is a setup screen where you would choose which of the Google applications your employees have access to. For example, if you run a company blog, you want someone in marketing to have access to that blog, but no one else needs it. You can turn Blogger on for the marketing folks and leave it off for the rest. Very easy to do from the control panel. You can also do other things like set permissions for who can send emails to outside users versus who can only send emails within the company. or how docs and sites can be shared with internal, external users. This next piece is for usually larger or more complicated organizations that maintain multiple domains, but think about themselves as a single organization. And what this really lets you do is kind of coalesce these separate domains together, break down the barriers between them, and make it very easy for people in those different parent and subsidiary domains to sort of behave and collaborate as if they were in the same organization when it comes to things like sharing docs and sites, while keeping the system aware of the fact that that group is separate from outside groups. And then the last piece I'll talk about on this is the collaboration dashboard. This is a pretty new addition as well, and it's just a great way for the administrator to come in and take a look at how Docs is being used inside the organization to collaborate. You can see tons of things like simply how many active documents there are, as well as how many average collaborators are there per document. How many documents are there that are shared by more than 10 people? And this is a great way to really get a view into how Google Docs and the power of the cloud is really enabling your organization to work together more actively and hopefully more effectively. Next piece I'll jump to is productive anywhere. And I think this is really based on some of the trends in technology that we've seen with proliferation of broadband, wireless access all over the place, very powerful mobile devices with high-speed internet access, basically creating expectation among workers that they should be able to get stuff done no matter where they are, and really no matter what device they're on. And Google Apps is a great solution for that type of requirement. So the first piece is that Google Apps runs from the browser. So all you need to do is make sure that your employees have a up-to-date version of a modern browser, and they can use Google Apps. And it doesn't have to be from a specific piece of hardware. It doesn't have to be from a specific operating system. They just need a modern browser that can support some of the great capabilities that we're building into Google Apps, and they're ready to go. And what this also means is they're not tied to a single piece of hardware. So they could have a laptop, they could have a desktop on their desk, very easy to transition in between, all their mail, all their documents, everything, their entire experience in Google Apps follows them to whatever browser they're logging in from. Next piece we start to get into is mobile. And to start with, I'll talk about Android. And Android is an open operating system, but most Android phones come with the stock set of really great Google apps built in, which include Gmail, Calendar, Contacts, and these are automatically synced with Google Apps. So when you get that phone or that tablet, you put your account information in right away. When you go to the Gmail app, when you go to the Calendar app, when you go to the Contacts app, it's going to be easy to get to the mail, the events, and the contacts that you've created in Google Apps, access those, interact with those, and be productive on the go. There's also native support through Google Sync for iOS devices, iPhone and iPad, as well as Windows Mobile. So this means that you put your credentials in, and Google Sync will send your mail or your calendar invites, etc., to the native mail, contact, or calendar applications on those different platforms. And finally, for those using BlackBerry as their enterprise weapon of choice, the Google Apps connector for BlackBerry Enterprise Server gives you a similar set of capabilities, including email, calendar, and contacts on your BlackBerry device. And I'll also mention, on any of these devices that have native support, as well as any device that has a web browser and web capabilities in it, you can always go to Google's mobile web apps at google.com/m and get to mail, calendar, contacts, and many more in what is really actually quite a good mobile web app experience. A lot of people use the native apps in favor, but Google continues to invest in the mobile web because there are a number of phones that don't have the native app, or you never know when you've lost your phone, you need to pick up a friend's tablet and get to your email. You should be able to do that through the mobile web apps and really get both a good and secure experience using a web app to get to your mail, to your documents, access your contacts, or tons of other apps. And then the last piece that really makes productivity anywhere possible is mobile device management. So we've talked about lots of different platforms. Some of you are seeing employees, coworkers bringing their own devices, wanting to work and be productive from those. How do you add the additional layer of security that's going to make you comfortable with all these different platforms, all these different devices, some company-owned, maybe some employee-owned? And the answer here is mobile device management. So we've got mobile device management capabilities for the platforms I mentioned, Android, iOS, Windows Mobile, and BlackBerry. And what this lets you do is set policies, things like sort of requirements that the mobile device have a password to log in. So it's It's not like anyone that picks up that phone can get to the email. Other things like remotely locking the devices or wiping the devices. And then there's another layer of capability for end users, which lets them do things like, locate their device, either using GPS or ringing that device, even if it's on vibrate. So these device management capabilities sort of layer on top of the productivity that we support, a kind of a layer of security and management that make you feel more confident letting your employees and your colleagues be productive from anywhere on any device they have. Next piece is simple and affordable, and what this really reflects is just our belief that it shouldn't be difficult and it shouldn't be painful to buy and deploy these productivity apps. And this all starts with a free 30-day trial. It is drop-dead simple to hop online and check out Google Apps. A couple clicks, not even a credit card required. You can spin up a trial and start checking out Google Apps and sort of validating that solution to see if it's right for you. And if it is, it's very simple licensing model, $5 per user per month, no commit, or $50 per user per year. The monthly, if you have temporary workers, it lets you create an account for them for a handful of months, and when they no longer need it, spin it down. And then the annual, obviously, is a commit, but it'll save you some money. Very simple licensing, nothing complicated, and really a great value there. The next piece is the interactive setup wizard. So once you've decided that Google Apps is right and you want to go and customize this and set it up on your domain and get everything up and running, provision your users, we've got this setup wizard that will walk you through each of these steps. It's not only a great way to get started, but it's also a great way to learn some of the steps that you may have to take in the future when new employees start and you need to add new users. A great way that walks you through all of the sort of necessary steps to get the domain up and running, everything from provisioning users to configuring your apps, migrating your data into Google, and managing mobile devices. It's all there, and it's drop-dead simple and really designed to kind of give you some options, give you some choices about what you want to do, and then walk you through the steps to make sure that you achieve that. The next piece we'll talk about is directory sync. For those of you that have got some IT systems in place, if you have an LDAP server like Active Directory or Domino where you already have users enumerated, you can use directory sync to sync those users up into Google's cloud and create accounts for them automatically, which is going to save you some work and some energy if you've already gone through the motions to create those user accounts locally. Very easy to create those up in Google's cloud. Next piece is data migration tools. Again, also for those of you with some existing older IT systems, if you've already got some data that you'd like to bring with you, I should say some customers, when they switch, they decide, I really don't want to bring all this data with me. Let's start fresh. We can keep an archive of some old data if we need to go back to it, but let's start fresh. Others say, it'd be great to have all my emails in place to bring some documents up, et cetera. Get the contacts in there. There are data migration tools that work with Lotus Notes, Microsoft Exchange, other IMAP-based systems to allow you to pull your old data from your existing systems up into the cloud to make that transition even more seamless for you and your colleagues. One day it's the old system, one day it's Gmail, and you should be able to have your old email there, your contacts, et cetera, and we have migration tools that allow that. This next piece is aimed specifically at administrators and relates to how they want to sort of experience the updates that the cloud enables. So Google Apps, as I mentioned earlier, is run in the cloud, nothing but the web, which lets us really roll out improvements as soon as they're ready. What this means is that our engineers are pushing, usually multiple times per week, improvements to our apps like Gmail, like Google Docs, like Calendar, like Sites. Tons of customers love this. They love seeing things change as soon as it's ready. And for them, we have something called the rapid release track, which means as soon as something is ready, as soon as it's been tested, vetted, and the release engineers are ready to push it, the next time users on that rapid release track refresh their web browser, they're going to see those new features. But we also realize that there are organizations that like some more notice. Maybe they have a help desk that they need to inform and train up a little bit before new features come. So we also have a scheduled release track, which offers, first of all, more notice before the features come out, and then a regular Tuesday release of these features. So you can go to our what'snew.googleapps.com site if you're on the scheduled release track, see what's coming down the pipe, and then on the given Tuesday that those features will be turned on, and you can inform users or help desks as you see fit. This is really aimed at letting the administrator of that domain choose how they'd like to experience the Google innovation that we're bringing to Google Apps, whether it's as soon as it's ready or with some more advanced notice to prepare your organization a little bit. Next is delegated administration, and what this is aimed at really is allowing the sort of super administrator of the domain, the one that has access to change any of the preferences, to delegate some administrative permissions to other users. So, for example, if you have a help desk and you want them to be able to create new accounts and reset passwords, you should be able to let them do that without sort of giving them keys to the entire castle. And so delegated administration lets you, on a user-by-user basis, give some administration privileges. When that user logs in to the administrator console, will only see those set of settings and preferences that the super administrator has allowed them to see, but they will not be able to change other things that may be more sensitive or that it just may not be necessary for so many people to have access to. Next is just a shout out to all the additional apps and APIs that we've been adding over time, and particularly over the past year. These are all great ways to extend your Google Apps experience beyond the core apps. This starts with dozens and dozens of Google apps that we added access to in the past year. So things like Google Voice, Blogger, Picasa, Google Reader, any of these things that you or your colleagues think might be useful to use with your Google Apps account. The administrator can go in, turn on sort of group by group different services that make sense, and provide a host of additional services, as I said, beyond the core apps, based on Google's popular consumer applications for your users to use in whatever sort of productivity-based or enjoyment-based way they see fit. The next step beyond that is the Google Apps Marketplace. This marketplace is full of productivity apps developed by third-party developers that are integrated with Google Apps. And it's very easy to click in to find the different types of apps you're looking for and deploy those to your users from the marketplace. Tons of sort of scheduling and task-based apps. You can see the example on this screen here is a Gantt project charter. This is really exposing, exposing the sort of innovation and specialization of the third-party developer community to Google Apps domains and users by letting them pick out the type of specialized apps that we might not build ourselves into Google Apps, but we certainly would make it easy and available for users to find those and to deploy those to their users. And then the third piece, beyond the set of Google apps that we offer and the third-party apps that we offer, is the sort of set of extensibility and API capabilities that we offer to customers. So to start with, you can create your own sort of custom workflows or interactions using Google Apps Script, and you can also use Google Apps APIs to integrate Google Apps with existing systems that you have, or create entirely new custom apps or gadgets that run on top of Google Apps. And you can even host those on Google App Engine and create those new apps or gadgets with basically no infrastructure footprint in your own infrastructure, 100% in the cloud, just like Google Apps. And the last piece I'll talk about in this section is data liberation. And what this is really about is our belief that it should be easy for any user of our products to get their data out in a form that is useful. So that same set of APIs that I spoke about on the last slide that lets you enrich your app experience and create custom apps is also available for you to pull out any of the data that you have created and stored in Google Apps. And this is really based on our belief that we don't want to hold on to customers because it's hard for them to switch. We want to hold on to customers because they're really in love with our products. And if we're not meeting their needs somehow, we're going to offer the tools and the capabilities for them to pull out, be it email, be it documents, whatever it is, to pull that data out and take it to whatever system they need to use next. And this is an initiative across all of Google. And as I said, it's really based on our belief that the data is yours. You should be able to get at it when you need, how you need. And the final bucket that I'll talk about is the pure and proven cloud. And what this is really about is Google's sort of heritage as a internet-scale cloud computing provider. It all started with search. It's unfathomable, the number of users and the number of search queries that we respond to every day. And this scale, reliability, and availability pervades all of the apps that we build, particularly Google Apps and Gmail. So the first piece I'll talk about is availability and reliability. So far in 2011, Gmail has achieved 99.99% uptime. We have a 99.9% uptime SLA, which guarantees reliable access for our Google Apps for Business customers. This commitment does not include any exceptions for maintenance windows or planned downtime. Our systems are designed so that they are distributed with instant failover, which means that we can update our data centers without any noticeable impact on the end user. So if a data center is unable to respond to a user request, that user's data has also been synchronously replicated in another data center, and that second data center is going to respond to the request so quickly that the user will never even notice that the data center has switched, which again means we're able to achieve really impressive availability and reliability, and we don't need to plan in any windows for maintenance or downtime because we can do all of that transparently in our data centers without the users ever noticing. To let you sort of get a better sense of the uptime and reliability, there's a publicly available status dashboard. Anyone can get to this, administrators and users. It can be found at google.com/apps-status. And in this dashboard, we list our top Google Apps services, as well as the status, the service health for the day. And if there are any notes, that information is updated in real time. And it's very easy, again, for administrators or end users to come here. If they think they're experiencing a problem, if it's related to the Google service, that information will be here. And if it's not, if this is indicating health for the Google service, then the problem is somewhere else in the band, either on the local machine or in the network. So really a great way to track the status of all of our services and get the type of information that you need if you ever do think you're having an interruption. The next piece I'll touch on is just the set of security policies and procedures that are in place end-to-end in Google's data centers, where your data is stored, where information is processed, et cetera. So Google goes to great lengths to protect customer information that's stored in our data center. There are extensive background checks, tons of security-focused processes, advanced technology, and around-the-clock physical protection at all of our data centers. If you do have questions about security, I definitely recommend looking through at the short link at the bottom of the screen. There is a pretty interesting video as well as a description of some of the security procedures and processes in place at our data center. Another resource that I would point you to just this week on our blog, which is at googlenterprise.blogspot.com, or you could just search in Google for the Google Enterprise blog. On that blog, we kicked off a 10-part series focused specifically on security. We've had one or two of those posts go up, and the remaining posts for the 10-part series will go up later this week. And this is really a great drill down into some of the top ways in which, if you look carefully at it, your data may actually be a lot more secure inside Google systems and inside Google's data centers than it would be in the systems and processes that you're setting up on your own or some of the other solutions that you're looking at. So if you're interested in security, I definitely recommend searching out our blog and watching for that 10-part series as we drill down into the different aspects of security in Google Apps. The next piece is just audits and certifications. Google Apps has completed SAS 70 Type 2 in the past, now SSAE 16 Type 2 audits, as well as achieved the Federal Information Security Management Act, or FISMA certification. These are really just great indicators to our users that third parties have examined and audited our processes and procedures and deemed that they meet a set of standards as far as security, privacy, and incident response. The next piece is the default HTTPS connections. So Google Apps offers the ability for an administrator to choose to force all users to connect to Google Apps using HTTPS. And what this means is it provides an added layer of security on top of the connection to our web apps. So if your users are using non-secure internet connections like public wireless or an unencrypted network, this forces their connections to Gmail, to Google Docs, to be encrypted and thus more secure. So in this way, we're helping you protect the data and information while it's in the band that your users are transmitting between their local devices and Google servers. Next piece is two-step verification. This is a great one. I use this on both my corporate and personal Gmail account. And what this allows is for the administrator to add an additional layer of security requirements on the login procedure for a user. So for a user to log in, they need not only something they know, which is their password, but also something that they have, which in this case would be their mobile device. So when the user goes to log in, they'll enter their password, and then they'll be prompted, as you can see on the top left, for a code. This is a 6-digit code that can either be generated by an application that was specifically installed on their mobile device, or can be sent to them through an SMS text or a voice call. So what this means is that if someone has stolen your password, they don't have everything they need to get into your account. If they've stolen your password, they'll put it in, but then they'll be asked for this code. And they'll also need to have access to this physical device, this mobile phone, that either has the app or is the one associated with the account to receive the SMS text message. So this is great. This is a great way to add that sort of second layer of security. Doesn't require any specialized hardware devices. Works with tons of phones in terms of the native platform, as well as basically any phone that can receive a text message can be used with this two-step verification. This is an option for administrators to turn on. If you don't feel like you need it, you can leave it off and users log in with a simple password. If you'd like the additional security, you can require it. And not only a password, but also a token from a mobile device is required to log in. And to make things easier, it's also possible from trusted computers, for trusted computers to be remembered so that users aren't sort of required to enter this every time they access their device on their desk, but perhaps a laptop or non-core device that they're using, they won't remember that. And so anyone who tries to access their account from that device will have to have, again, both password and the token from the two-step verification. And the final piece that I'll talk about is single sign-on. And we all know it's a bit of a burden for users to have to remember a different password for every different service they use. And sometimes this actually leads to either password redundancy or much simpler, less secure passwords. And so Google Apps also offers single sign-on capabilities through SAML, which basically allow you to federate Google Apps with another identity service that you have, so that users can, just in a couple clicks, instead of entering all their information, get authenticated and authorized to use Google Apps services. So if you do use single sign-on through SAML, you should look at how to integrate this with Google Apps to really reduce some of that password burden from your users. So in the past 12 months, I've listed a bunch of improvements. There have been over 150 that we've launched. As I said, our Agile development cycle lets us launch things very quickly as soon as it's ready. So if you'd like to follow future updates in real time, here's a link to several links actually to some of the different vectors you can use, either RSS feeds on the blog or Twitter, et cetera. There's lots of ways to stay up to date. We'll be sending this presentation out, so you don't have to scribble those links down too quickly. We'll give you those for your reference. And now I'd like to open up the floor for any questions that Anya's collected, and also direct those of you not using Google Apps yet to go to google.com/apps for more information. So, have a set of questions here that I'll just walk through. Hopefully we can get through a good set of them. So first question here, is there any significant differences in the use of these apps in the federal government? So we do have a separate package called Google Apps for Government that has some slightly different capabilities. I think the best place to learn about that, if you're interested specifically in that package, is if you go to google.com/apps. From there, you can see we have packages for education, for businesses, for government, and you can access and see some of not only the different ways in which the package is specialized for government, but some examples about how both local, state, and federal governments are using Google Apps already to get that sort of more specialized vertical information. Next question is, have you seen the form adapted as an order ticket? I haven't seen a specific example of that, but Google Forms obviously lets you create a pretty quick and easy and intuitive way to collect information. That information is then entered into a spreadsheet. And with the capability of Google Apps Script, you can actually do some interesting things to integrate that spreadsheet with some of the other Google services. For example, you could have the form response generate an email, which could play into the workflow for an order ticket. So I would encourage people curious about ways to use forms to look at not only forms, but also the ways that Google Apps Script can interact with that data and do some more interesting things layered on top in a more customized and specialized way. Let's see. There is questions about Google+. Always lots of questions about Google+. We don't have any new information or features or products to announce today, but as I mentioned, about a year ago, we undertook a big initiative to try to offer all of Google's applications to Google customers, and I would say that's a continuing focus for us. Is any of the goodness and innovation that Google brings, we would like to offer that to Google Apps customers. Let's see. The question about voice and video and whether multi-user conferencing is supported. For video, at this point, it is just a one-to-one call. There is not a multi-user capability in the video chat inside of Gmail. Let's see, what else do we have? There's a question about Google Chrome on the iPad and the iPhone. I don't have any specific knowledge of that. I know that on Apple's platform, it's sometimes difficult to create apps that duplicate included capability, but again, no new features that we have to announce today on this call. The question about whether Google will make a mail client that can be installed on desktop computers. Again, not sure, and can't comment on our product plans, but I will say that Gmail is able to integrate with existing mail clients, so things like Outlook or Thunderbird, other sort of POP or IMAP clients. It's very easy to hook those into your Gmail. If you would prefer on your personal computer to use a thick client, a thick desktop client, you can do that instead of the web interface. And you can also do it interchangeably with the web interface. So when you're on your computer, you can use that thick client, and then when you're away from it, it's very easy to go into Gmail's web interface and get to your email through the web. There's a question about whether two-step verification is available for public users. I assume this means just users of consumer Gmail accounts. The answer is yes. Two-step verification, we made that available to any user of Gmail or Google accounts. The administrator can choose that option for Google Apps, but consumer users choose that for themselves and can install that app or set up the preferences to create that login token on their mobile device. There's a question about flexibility in templates and CSS for Google Sites. There is some sort of template flexibility. However, the CSS capabilities are really not there or that advanced. If you are looking to make very rich and highly customized sites, Google Sites may not be the best answer. Google Sites is really tooled around a WYSIWYG interface that is drop-dead simple for end users to create, maintain, edit project and team sites. The capabilities, you can make some quite attractive and quite scalable sites. We use, for example, for some of our support resource and deployment sites, we use Google Sites. We turn that external. All of our customers going to those support or deployment sites are using a site that we built on the Google Sites platform. So you can definitely make things that are attractive, useful, and scalable, but it is not like a web hosting platform where you have control of every pixel or can do a lot of custom CSS or things like that. There's a question about offline tools, and specifically a question about Chrome or not Chrome. Just yesterday, we announced our first round of offline access tools based on HTML5. These include offline access to Gmail, which allows the ability to read and respond to emails, as well as offline access in Calendar, which allows you to see and respond to events, and offline access in Google Docs and Google Spreadsheets, which is a view-only access which lets you, even when you've lost an internet connection, take a look at those documents that you have created or have in your docs list. As I said, these offline capabilities rely on some very cutting-edge HTML5, and at this time, they are only supported in Chrome. However, as soon as other browsers support those same set of HTML5 capabilities, then these offline apps will these offline capabilities will be available in those browsers as well. But as of yesterday at launch, Chrome was the only browser supporting all of the necessary HTML5 components for offline in Gmail, Google Calendar, and Google Docs. All right, well, that is about the broad set of questions. As I mentioned, we will be distributing this presentation so that you can drill down in more detail from the short link at the bottom of any of the slides to get more information. As I mentioned, another great place to go is always google.com/apps to find more information about Google Apps, to find more information about the different business, education, or government offerings that we have, as well as link to things like customer stories, deployment resources, as well as start the free trial if you're ready for that. So please look out for that slide deck, and thank you for joining us today.